Potter's Journal. Today we are going to make some garden art, some garden sculpture. But who buys something this size? Well, maybe if it is a special plastic mailbox from Walmart, they'll pay $369.99 for it. But if it's art, I don't think so. So we're going to scale this down to a size that hopefully a homeowner will put in their backyard. That's if I can remember how I did this, how I put the pattern on there, how I carved it, how I sculpted it. It is made out of terracotta pipe, but I get it after it's been extruded as clay so that it can be sculpted and shaped and formed. Remember this too, a couple weeks back. Don't be a starving artist. Grow a garden. Look at all the blossoms on the sugar snap peas. And a row of potatoes here. Okay, we are going to look to the garden today for inspiration on what to put on our sculpture, but not the vegetable garden. It is going to be the flower garden. Let's see what's going on in the studio today. So here we go, the roses. And this is the part where, we can still work on the design a bit, and change it some. And the pieces that are cut out. Okay, up here I'm sometimes adjust the cuts so that we have enough. Okay, so the back I am leaving actually here wider so that there's some more stability on the very, very top there. Yeah, the sunflower pillar. I don't know why it took me so long to come up with the sunflowers. I think in the 90s it seemed, or no, let's go back to the 80s. It seemed like ducks were a trend and very popular. And then in the 90s it was cherubs. And then I don't know why it took me so long to figure out that sunflowers were a trend, and they're a bit more lasting, and I don't think, and will stand the test of time a bit. That we still look back to Van Gogh's sunflowers. The other thing about the sunflowers is they're very nice pieces out in the winter too. If it's a planter generally is often brought in the winter. But on the garden pillars, the sunflowers left out in the winter don't look out of place and don't look cold. That they're actually bright, sunny faces, okay, shining back in the winter time. And I was hoping to finish this up in about a series of 3 or 4 videos doing we did the turtles, the fish, but yeah, it doesn't always work like that. The pipe needs to be somewhat wet and damp to be able to carve it, and then it actually needs to stiffen up a bit before you can put the slips on. I've been using Amaco velvet underglazes, and then sometimes needs to be for the carve throughs allowed to stiffen up a little bit more. But on the roses, just carving them through like that didn't really seem to work. They seem to need more, so I've been actually sculpting them a bit, treating them, like relief sculpture a little bit. next week's video either I was hoping, yeah, maybe would be on to the kiln part, but I think maybe we will come back and bring this entire series to, yeah, finish with the final parts, yeah, the process, the finishing up, the cleaning. And this time of year, so many potters do kind of turn away from the studio into the garden, but yeah, other garden pieces, this is, you know, whether we're production potters or if we're just taking a class and doing something for ourselves, bird feeders, bird houses, or things that could be made on the wheel or hand built. And even the sculpture by, you know, throwing short pieces that are 6 inches tall even can be stacked up one on top of another. A pipe or a tube, yeah, if it's you know, as small as, you know, a mug like this, a pipe that comes up through the middle, and you just stack them up one on the other. Okay, you could make a tall piece of garden sculpture from a potter's wheel, or even with a rolling pin and a slab of clay. Okay, as I said, these do seem to require a bit more being sculpted, so I'm never a big one for tools. I just turned the fettling knife over the other way and started rolling it in there like that. And these are just okay, pieces of garden art, so it's not a highly sophisticated, okay, sculpture. There's not some huge message. We're not trying to create a mood or evoke an emotion. Okay, so in addition to that, I've also been doing the carved thing, and found that whereas these are pretty much cut straight back, and I take a bit of the bevel off, I have been taking the rows and actually, yeah, taking it back a good bit on the edges. And this clay, okay, and this is not for sculpture. This is made as chimney flues and drainage pipes, so it has real rough, heavy grog in it. I have thrown it, but it's pretty difficult. It doesn't go up to stoneware, but I think it fires at about, vitrifies around, what was it, 2,000 degrees, more or less. I think I'd take it to cone 2. And this is very busy work. This will take some time. This is nice. You can even sit down and relax with it. I walked and listened to, okay, YouTube pottery videos in the studio. I've actually put together a playlist of some of my own. I've put together a playlist with okay, the garden sculpture, the garden art. So if that's something you do in the studio. And I put together I have a lot of food videos as well. I put together the Potter's Kitchen. And I put together all my videos that used pottery in the kitchen or demonstrated its use. And when I put it together, did the search to see if I could find my playlist, and came up with, okay, a cooking video YouTube channel called The Potter's Kitchen, which I think is worth checking out. And I think it probably is a potter, because I have seen a lot of pots in her kitchen, but it's also very much focused on the garden and pieces, and vegetables harvested fresh from it. But for many decades, 2 decades, I did the pipe sculpture workshop, so this time of year I also think back to that. Let's take a look and see how these pieces were fired at the plant where they extrude the pipe. And these are all hand set. This is inside the beehive kiln. I was there once when they were rebuilding one of these. If I remember right, it was started down at the bottom and worked right up to the top without any kind of support. And outside the kiln, and I've got a kiln down right now, but if you've ever had trouble with a kiln, imagine having trouble with these kilns. Here they're having to rebuild a door. And here we go outside, and the burner ports. And the beehives were the old part of the plant. This is the new, or the modern size, and those are the cars from the car kiln. I worked here. I was a guest of Logan Clay for 25 years, or 25 years. I had never seen the kiln done. And this was a slow time, and big enough that you can't see the other end of it. This is inside the kiln. I forget what the fiber blanket drapes were for. But you can see where they've rebuilt a part of the top of it. And burner ports. Thermocouple. But the greatest thing about the workshop, was the other artists. And this was really something for us to get inside of a kiln like this. And I, always think back to Ted. He was great and fun to work with. And always came too with a journal full of sketches. But dooring, always great to get together with the artists, the other artists, before, during, and after hours, working at the plant, and find out what had gone on in their studios in the past year, and share a meal. And some of that's been happening here too, on YouTube. It's becoming, it seems to me, a social media now, as opposed to when I first started. So do subscribe, like, and make it a social media. Comment below on if you've made any garden art this year. And do stop back next week and see what's going on in the studio. I'd like to have one of these.